This thing's still open.
Testing, testing. All right, well, we'll get started here. Please grab a drink, grab some food, grab a seat. Well, welcome to our 4th annual Web3 FrensGiving. Thank you for joining us tonight. Always a great occasion. Thank you, NRF, John and team, for co-hosting with us tonight. Beautiful office, beautiful location, and you know, we've hosted this event. This is our 4th year doing it. It's always, I don't know if we could cut the mute. Perfect, thank you. It's our 4th year doing it, and every November we bring together our trusted partners, you know, many of you in the audience, to celebrate this power of community. I think it's always a great reminder to step back from our day-to-day and think about how human relationships, partnerships can really grow together stronger. It's such an ethos of Web3 open source software. You know, especially in an age of AI, you know, I start to think about human-to-human relationships as it's augmented by AI. At Decasonic, we are an AI native venture firm. We have 5 human teammates and 140 AI teammates. We think about how AI can flourish humans. Humans can augment their superpowers with AI. And it's with kind of this belief that, you know, we start vibe coding our own technologies. You know, Justin and Eugene showed you our AI agent, Emma, our networking concierge that we will spin up overnight and deploy. That kind of forms the background of what we're grateful for this year. You know, as the team and I talked about our FrensGiving, we're grateful for NRF helping patent our work. You know, that there's a part of open source that we contribute. There's part of proprietary and trade secret that you kind of need to protect as a venture firm, as a startup, as a university. Very proud tonight to introduce the frontier of AI patents. You know, Abdul, my colleague, investor, operator, vibe coder, he's really driven our efforts in deploying, you know, AI. John, partner at NRF, old school coder, lawyer, technologist, girl dad like me, long time partner who's represented firms like Microsoft and others as they think through their patent strategy. And so thank you for joining us. I want to hand it over to now John to kick off the fireside.
Awesome. Can everybody hear me? Thanks for coming. Nice to meet literally all of you, because I don't think I know a single one of you other than Paul and Abdul. So very quickly, and I won't it, but Norton Rose Fulbright, we are a giant law firm. I know no one wants to talk to their lawyers, but we'd be happy. If you do have to, come talk to us. We've got about 3,300 lawyers. We're in 50 offices in 30 countries. We do pretty much everything. We've been in Chicago for about 3 years now. And the goal of this office was to really take a tech-focused and tech-forward approach. Part of the reason why, you know, you all had to schlep over here to Fulton Market instead of being in those what sometimes when I'm down in Texas we call them the tall building lawyers at those in those big fancy glass buildings. Yeah, as Paul said, I started out my life well, I studied philosophy and classics. Then I became a software engineer. Then I became a lawyer. Super excited to talk with Abdul tonight, and we are going to talk about patents and some of the work that we did together. But just so we can gauge sort of the audience, if you have encountered a patent, filed a patent, you know, you have a patent in your name, can you throw up your hand? All right, so look at that. It's not 0 and it's not 100%. So Abdul, I did give Abdul advance warning I'm going to do this. So before we get into a conversation, I have a tiny story that I want to sort of start us out with as we're getting settled. And this requires you to cast your mind back to the year 1980, where some of you, I think, were alive. In 1980, the Swedish Minister of Defense received a letter from the Swedish Forest Agency. And the letter said, "Dear sir, your trees are ready." To which the Swedish Minister of Defense responded, and I'm translating roughly from the Swedish here, but "What the hell are you talking about?" And to understand the answer to that question, you have to go back 150 years earlier to 1830, when Sweden, worried about the sort of the arms race in the Baltic, decided it really needed to beef up its navy to have supremacy. Since Viking times, the Swedes had always used stout oak to build their warships. And so they hatched a plan to, on the island of Vasingso, to plant 300,000 oak trees and nurture them till they were fully grown so that they could build this armada and rule the seas. And it wasn't just like they went and took 300,000 acorns and threw them on this island. They wanted straight trees with straight, straight grain, because that builds the best ships. So they went out, they had people plant these trees. They actually had to plant other little trees around them that would eventually die out, so the oaks would grow straight and true. And then for 150 years, they waited. The Swedish Navy, it turns out, in 1980, was not interested in a forest of oak trees because there had been technological advances in the intervening 150 years, and we are now building warships out of metal, not wood. And so the question is, why am I talking about this with AI patents? First, I mean, I think it's just fascinating to enter into the headspace where you can think of a time or imagine a time where someone could say, I'm going to make a plan that will only reach fruition in 150 years. For anyone working in the AI space, I mean, it's just laughable. But the second reason I say it is because when I talk to tech companies, especially startups, about patents and maybe applying for patents or getting patents, I often feel like they think I'm trying to sell them on a 150-year forestry project, right? You're telling me if I file for a patent now, I might get it in 2 years. In 2 years, I mean, no one who works for me is still going to be here. I'm going to be in a totally different business. I can't tell you what I'm going to do in 2 weeks. And so I think, I just lost it. There are some myths around patents that I'm hopeful that this conversation that Abdul and I have tonight, maybe I won't completely change your mind, but just as AI has sort of changed everything, there have been a lot of changes literally within the past month in terms of how the patent office in the United States operates and the kind of things that you can file for and get patents on. So I think if you're in the 1830s mindset of what are patents, how do oak trees grow, I think there have been some changes. And so software patents are a thing. They're not impossible to get, they're not impossible to enforce, they don't have to be expensive, and they don't have to suck up all your engineers and founders' time. So with that, Abdul, I will say, and just because I alluded to it, this man right here wants you to get an AI patent. This is, you can see, he's so happy, he's so excited for you to file an AI patent. This is John Squires. He is, basically a month ago, he became the director of the US Patent Office. Prior to that, he worked at Goldman Sachs, where he headed up their IP program, and then he went and worked at a law firm where he focused on their emerging tech practice, which was mainly crypto and AI. He showed up a month ago, and he has already made huge changes and instructions to the patent examiners saying that the door is open for AI. If an AI patents, the guidance that they all had and used before that would generally cause them to reject these kind of patents has been thrown out the window. And he believes that the the way forward, if America is going to compete with China, if we're going to get access to venture capital, you have to have strong patents, and that means the patent office has to give you the patents. Now, that's not to say that once you get the patents, it's all going to come out fine in the wash or in court. That's a different question. But at least for now, you say, make hay while the sun shines. It really is a new day, and it really has just happened in the last month. But so let's talk about, this is more than a month ago that we started working together. But if you could, Abdul, and I know everybody here probably knows you and they don't know me, but could you tell us a little bit just about Decasonic, just so we sort of orient ourselves?
Yeah, we can kick it off with that. But before maybe we get right into Decasonic, I think NRF as a partner has been incredibly gracious to us, and in general, the process for filing a patent was incredibly easy, just building upon John's point here as well. But Decasonic as a fund, we're Web3 and AI native VC fund. We actively invest at the intersection, and we're investor operators. We build with the tools, we innovate with the tools, and we really advance the vision of what's potentially possible with the tools as well. That's a bit about us, but we're five human teammates, just like Paul said, 142 AI agents, 15 plus AI applications pending. Figures change day to day because we keep on adding more and more agents on a daily basis. So figures may not necessarily be accurate for the end of the day. But that's a bit about us. A bit on my background, ex-founder in the Bitcoin security space, ex-advisor to Bitcoin ecosystem projects. I did market making at the largest centralized exchange in the MENA region. And I do two things at Decasonic. I co-lead our Web3 and AI investments with my colleague over there, Justin, and I lead our AI product developments internally as well. But maybe to kick it off with the theme of Thanksgiving as well here, John. Very thankful to everyone being here. I hope you all have a great FrensGiving, Thanksgiving, whatever term you want to use. I think both of them mean the same thing. From my end as well, very thankful to NRF as partners, thankful to my team. Paul, special shout out to Paul. I think everything that you will see here today, he has been a core driving force of the vision behind really pushing us towards what's possible. And I have seen Paul really take some of the ideas that he gives us on a day-to-day basis, and you see them appear in AI products and AI companies maybe after 6 to 8 months. So he really does think big at this intersection and innovate, and helps us innovate internally as both investor operators.
Well, that's maybe actually a good segue. I know we talked about that's a patent. You get a fancy gold seal if you. I was in a litigation one time, and the plaintiff wheeled in like it was on a like almost like a bar carpet, with a velvet pillow, and the patent was on it. It was under a glass dome, and look at this. I mean, look at this shiny gold thing. So we were talking about maybe a demo that would be relevant, just to maybe give an example of some of the stuff you're working on.
Yeah, we can give context, I think, just slightly before playing the demo. But where we're at right now is recognizing that in the space of VC and venture capital, two of the most important investor functions are sourcing and due diligence. And therefore, when you think about building AI applications or building AI agents that augment your team, enhance your team, and really help you innovate at this intersection, you think of what you currently do from a human perspective. And one thing that we did was build this AI sourcing application. What it's composed of is a team of 9 highly specialized AI agents delivering 5,200 opportunities on a yearly basis. Now, keep in mind, in our landscape, Web3 and AI, it is still a growing market. So as of right now, this likely considers a few multiples over what's currently available in this market as well. But the core innovation here is really centered on human AI interaction, and the core pillar of Decasonic, where AI flourishes humans as well. That's a core strategy to what we're going to show you. And I think, John, as well, we can proceed with the video, and I'll maybe walk you through some of what's happening on screen as well for context.
All right, well, you say go, and I'll push the button.
Let's go.
All right.
AI sourcing, this is the Decasonic AI OS that you see. It houses our AI applications. It's under stage 2, which is source opportunities. On screen, the core value propositions. Essentially, this is an RL enhanced environment, intelligence layer powered by a CRM, and direct on-thesis opportunities that are being presented. Very easy. One click is all what it needs to trigger our orchestrator. Our orchestrator, Layan, triggers the entire team. Within 30 to 35 minutes, we can come back to view the report that our orchestrator has generated. Right now, you see the report has been completed for the day. We click on View Reports, and we view 20 opportunities that are being delivered on a daily basis from our AI sourcing team. This is modular, this is composable, can change based on team's preferences. For each opportunity sourced, you see name, description, categorization of whether or not it's on thesis, associated scoring, team information. Everything you need in order to start due diligence on an opportunity is really present here. What we're showing you on screen now is the reinforcement learning element. This is how you make AI systems better. One click is all what it needs for us to integrate our sourced opportunity to our CRM layer, which powers the intelligence. And therefore, our AI knows that this is an opportunity we like, source more of it. Other element of RL integration that you see on screen is thesis categorization. Thesis categorization serves as a basis of what a VC typically looks out for in terms of opportunities they prioritize and we prioritize internally. A shift in that helps align our AI sourcing team as well. And this is one of the applications that we have built, AI sourcing, in order to really amplify and augment our team's capabilities with a measurable factor of 5 to 10x on a daily basis. Source opportunities, receive them. Instead of spending hours sourcing them, just go ahead and start due diligencing the top opportunities that AI sourcing presents and what we find personally from a human perspective too.
So one of the things that, well, in my use of AI as a lawyer, and I know you probably don't all read the legal trades as much as I do, but one of the issues that constantly crops up is lawyers are using these generative AI tools and they're not checking the work that they provide. And so they're submitting briefs to the court with cases that are great for their position, but do not in fact exist. And they're getting in serious professional trouble. I wonder for something like this, just in terms like, are you then going back, are you rechecking how much extra work, how much in terms of hallucination are you seeing? And then I guess for something like this, given sort of the early stage filtering, how much does it really matter if maybe it makes a mistake or two along the way?
Yeah, I think those are good questions. And in the design of the application and the design of the team, we took this into consideration. So within the team of 9 AI agents, there are 9 other dedicated agents within the team in order to do the verification. So they check everything is running. They check all the links, all the team information are verifiable and can be found online through multiple different sources. And if this is confirmed, then it presents it within the report. Otherwise, what you would see is NA or not available. And that would be a confidence score for the model. Because what we have within our system right now, and this is something that everyone as well can implement internally, respective to your own functions, is confidence scoring, where you can ask the LLM how confident it is with the information that it's providing, and then you can have another AI agent in the loop on top of the LLM that can verify that confidence level. So yes, I would say in terms of hallucinations, minimal for the report. Where I do see issues is sometimes the system might go out of guardrails. So instead of sourcing 10 or 20 opportunities, has happened one till now. It sourced 400, which was interesting, but that's not what was the requirement for that.
And you're just a team of 5, right? And I know, so for something like this, how many people were involved? How much time did it take?
Yeah, I think the entire team was involved in terms of the planning, the thought process, prioritization, and what elements should be integrated. But it was primarily the investment team. So it was myself building the application. Paul gave us a lot of guidance, a lot of the high-level vision, and Justin was a key support as well on this.
And timelines, like from start to finish, like when you sat down to code it up? I mean, I'm sure it's still a work in progress, but
it's always a work in progress because there's always improvements that we're seeing with the models, improvements with APIs, and new AI applications that come out that you can think of ways to augment your existing implementations with. Realistically, this was a 1 week, I want to say, one week job effort in terms of implementations. We're an investment firm at the end of the day, so I think what we typically do is nights and weekends is when I can work on this. And this is the timing that we gave it.
And is it something that everybody in the firm is using? It's not just you?
Yeah, it is. It's core to the investment team, and this could be an interesting segue to some of the open source conversation we've had, John, where we're actually now thinking of implementing this for our portfolio companies as well as a way of additional value add and insights that Decasonic can provide. What's happening is we're making this into an engine, so it's a framework. There's going to be a portal. Each portfolio company of ours will be able to provide their own context, what they want to source, the type of opportunities, leads, individuals they want to source, and have their own respective sourcing engine work for them on behalf of Decasonic.
Well, that sounds terrific and really like a meaningful value add. But I want to switch gears a tiny bit because we did promise we would talk about patents. So let's do that. And in particular, we worked. I don't even remember how many months ago it was. Not that long ago. It definitely was. It was calendar year 2025. But we partnered together and worked on. I think it's Decasonic's first patent. Yeah,
it is.
In the machine learning and AI space. So maybe I'll again hand it to you. I mean, if you can just give like high level, what was the idea there? What was the problem you were trying to solve?
Yeah, so the problem we were trying to solve and what the idea was is, look, there's a lot of information available online on very well-respected individuals with deep domain expertise that we can benefit from. And the problem is their time is limited and accessibility to those individuals are limited. In early stage VC investing, you're faced with I don't want to say it's a problem, but it's much more subjective than you might expect for later stage, mid-stage companies. And therefore, the evaluation has to consider multiple different blind spots. So the way we designed the product that we have a patent on and the network itself is, what if you could talk to someone like Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and other individuals any time of the day for any type of problem that you could approach them with? And that really brings us to the core innovation here, which we call RLEN internally. It's a social graph, a social network of AI clones. Each of those clones respectively contribute based on their own dynamic expertise, and we get an answer that's aligned with the input that we provide. And oftentimes the application of this would be in due diligence, potentially areas where we can highlight vision, narrative, product market fit, and execution. It's the way you can envision it is you're able to collectively talk with multiple different personas, no matter who they are, within this network through one prompt that you provide to that network itself.
And sorry, this is obviously you guys are thinking through a lot of different ideas, exploring a lot of different things, vibe coding nights and weekends. You have a lot of ideas. Not even gigantic companies don't have the budget, the resources, the time to patent every good idea that they have. What about this made you or Paul or whoever sit up and say, hey, the time is right, or this is something that we think we should protect, and we're going to do this over one of the other 100 ideas that that we've had over the last year?
I think the impact of this is something that definitely went into consideration when we were thinking about which idea or which product rather we should consider seeking a patent for. In our craft, I think in investing, especially for early stage, there are often signals that you can track that differ from company to company. And being able to leverage this network of world-class domain expert individuals in order for them to provide you with augmentation or the respective responses when considering blind spots was very much an area of interest of ours. But at the same time, we do want to highlight Decasonic as a firm that builds alongside its founders, provides value add to founders as well that we invest in, and highlight our positioning in Web3 and AI, not only as investors, but builders and innovators. So that's an area that we have been actively thinking about when we approach the consideration of the patent itself.
So you made, as a company, you made that decision, we're going to do it. And then you actually had to do it. And what was that next step? How did you put it into action? I mean, right, obviously you went and hired a lawyer or us, but I mean, what went into that process? What was your thinking? What were your and maybe you can't reconstruct all this, but what were you concerned about? What were you worried about when you're like, well, maybe we should dip our toes in these waters?
Yeah, for us, we were not necessarily worried about the monetization impact that we could potentially get from that patent. What we did want to highlight is the uniqueness of the underlying technology, the innovation of it, and potentially how impactful it could be to the wider consumer AI applications, wider AI market as well. So that was our consideration. It was less so from a monetization perspective. But ultimately, the goal is enhanced reputation, enhanced brand image, and being able to provide this lens of value add to our founders and future portfolio company founders.
And so moving forward, you shopped around for some lawyers. You ultimately picked one that you liked or you hoped you would like, and off we went. What was that process like? And again, this going back to sort of my myths around patents, which I think, right, lawyers are expensive. They're lawyers, so do they actually understand technology? How much time am I going to have to spend talking to and educating this person that I'm paying by the hour to do this work for me? And then how long is it going to take? And is this going to pull away people? You're a small team, right? People who need to be doing their day job or vibe coding on their nights and weekends.
I think for us, one thing that we realized when working with NRF, partnering with NRF, was how quick, simple, and really not time-consuming you made the process be. Our initial thought process was this could potentially take hours of work. It could result in us writing a lot of documents in order to hand them over, deliver them to you, so you can understand the core basis of the technology, the core underlying product utilization, and then be able to get a patent provisional or patent approved based on that specific technology. But NRF really did abstract that away, and it was, what was it, two pages of documents that we sent over, two calls, maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes each. It was a very simple process. The technology itself is, I want to say, innovative to an extent where the NRF team did not necessarily encounter something like this prior to their work with us and prior to us walking them through the product and the core tech. So it was a simple process from that end.
No, I'm not paying him to say any, bribing him with sandwiches. But I think it was. It was from my perspective too. I think it was when you get the right people in the room, and I do think it is important to have a lawyer who's going to work with who really does understand the technology and hopefully has that specific technical background. But yeah, I think we really did breeze through it pretty quickly, and that is trying to pop that first myth that you guys wrote down about 2 pages, and we had 2 phone calls, and a month later you had a 80-page patent application, and we got it on file, and now the patent office is doing what the patent office does, and John Squires is smiling, ready to stamp, put that gold seal, hopefully any day now. But I do want to cycle back to something you said earlier about open source, because I think it is, from a startup perspective, right? You're trying to keep your employees, you're trying to manage everything, you're trying to get investment, you're pulled in a million different directions. 2 years to get a patent, or even 2 months, it takes to file an application can be a lot. I think it can be stressful. And then to your point, what are we actually going to do with this thing, right? Am I checking the box for an investor because they're going to come in and say, hey, do you have patents? Yes, okay, fine. I'm never going to look at them, but fine, you have some. Or is it reputational? Is it going to grow the brand? And I do think that some founders and some tech companies sort of struggle with it. Is, even if we can do it really cheaply and we can do it really quickly, that's still time and money that can be spent on other things. What am I really going to get from this? And I know you spoke to it a little bit, but and I know you're also thinking about potentially filing for some additional patents as well. So, can you talk us through, just again from your perspective, your thinking there?
Yeah, I think, John, you raise an interesting point on open source and consideration of open source versus patenting something and protecting it. I think one thing to realize is crypto and AI as two core technologies have been advanced by open source. Their core underlying basis, some of the technologies that you see being anchored through them are built through open source applications and open source technology. So it is really core part of the ethos with the intersection of both of these two technologies emerging initially and early on through decentralized AI, which oftentimes could be either transparent, verifiable, or open source technology as it relates to the AI models that you use. So it's very core to the business that we're in and very core to the market that we're actively investing in and taking a look at. There's an element of community there where community learnings are shared between each of these participants, and that helps them advance the technology. Stack is being built on top of different stacks, and that ultimately gets you a greater output, especially since some of these techniques are often used together. But what I will say to continue this conversation to an extent is we did open source one thing, and that open source was a different idea than this, but it was essentially a ERC8004 scanner. And what this is the Ethereum Foundation, alongside some of its partners, Google, Coinbase, and many other institutions that you recognize, are implementing a agentic reputation system that's developed on-chain. So what we did as a team was first people to actually release a scanner dedicated to that, and that provides you with information on each of these agents that are being released. And that's something that we're contributing because we do want to help grow the Web3 and AI market, and we do want to help advance it. And that's a way to give back to the community and share some of the insights that we have learned internally as well.
I think that, I mean, it's in the spirit of what we're even doing tonight, right? I think not everything has to be locked up in a cage. And I think for many companies, there's this decision, okay, we've come up with an idea, we're going to lock it up, put it under key, or we're going to keep it confidential, even if we don't really care about it, or even if we're not going to use it. And so I think they're thinking, well, patent or trade secret, or maybe we just do nothing. But I do think it can be really valuable to say, well, or we could also just publish this, or we could share it, we could post this on GitHub, and we could invite other people to play with it, because they may make something, I mean, they may improve it, and then that could be something that we build on and we can ultimately use, which I think is really is powerful. And there's so much that's been done in software in the last 30 years that, as you say, is built on really foundations of open source.
John, some of the most highly valued AI companies today are built on some of the foundations of open source. Cursor, which is I think it's the fastest company ever to hit the 1 billion ARR mark, is built on VS Code. You have Perplexity with its Comet browser is built on top of Chromium. So open source really is a core part of this movement. It's a core part of the tech. When it comes to models as well, you have a technique called model distillation where models are built on top of each other primarily through efficiency and specialization. And model distillation is something that we actively see as an area that continues to innovate when it comes to benchmarks of newly released models. Some members of the Chinese AI community as well are releasing incredibly powerful open source AI models, whether it's from Kimi, Baidu, Tencent, Alibaba. They're actively developing open source technology, and they're actively innovating at this intersection and advancing it.
You know, since you brought up China, I will. These are some statistics that they're always in flux, but I do think they're interesting from a patent perspective. So, between starting like say if you look at 2017 to today, there has been year over year an 800% increase in patent filings on Gen AI. 70% of all AI patent filings are being made by China, but the bulk of those are actually just in China, in large part because there are certain incentives that the government has for filing Chinese patents. It's still the case that US patents are being cited roughly 7 times more than Chinese or just patents in from other countries. It wouldn't surprise you when I throw out the names of the American companies that are getting the most patents every year in AI. It's IBM, Microsoft, Apple, Meta. I mean, those names you all know. But I think it's worth considering. If you're still on the fence and not ready to sign up to get a patent yet, let me sweeten it with this. All these big companies, right? If even though they have ungodly sums of money, and they are spending that money on $100 billion, $120 billion on building out data centers. So they don't have unlimited funds for patents. And if you're an IBM or any one of these other companies where you're filing 15,000 patents a year, you kind of have to treat the patents like a commodity. You do not have the budget to say, well, maybe this one will spend 5 times as much, or this one. You have to get with a firm, and you have to treat it like a line item, and you have to try to drive the cost down as much as possible. In a space like this, AI, where there's so much happening, and it's happening so quickly, I think it really can be an advantage to be a smaller player, really focused on 1 or 2 core ideas. You can, even though I think you can get it done relatively inexpensively and relatively quickly, you can put a lot more into it than maybe a huge company, because you are more focused, and it's your patent, and it's the 1 or the 2 that you're going to get as a company. So I think, again, just to plug it a little bit, I think and hopefully that was your experience. It's not an afterthought. It's not just something that gets sort of pushed down the stack, but it's something that you did focus on and you cared about, and there was real pride in the work and the fact that hopefully it will ultimately issue as a patent.
There is, John, and one thing that you do mention is that element of specialization. At the end of the day, there was always this big debate between a generalist AI model or a generalist AI agent versus a specialized AI agent or generalist AI agent. And right now, what we're seeing from active implementations, both from the opportunities that we're taking a look at, the ones that are very innovative at this emerging intersection, or from some of our internal builds, is that specialization wins. Domain expertise wins. And gaining the edge, being a domain expert in your respective field, while augmenting it with AI, whether it's a form of AI patents, AI products being built out internally, will help deepen the edge you have and make it even more durable.
I feel like we could talk probably forever, but we also should let people eat and drink. And also, if anybody has any question, I mean, I don't want to just artificially cut us off, but don't feel compelled. But if anyone does have any questions.
Do you feel the process is going to speeden up now with the openness of the current environment? I'm stuck in patents for 5-6 years. I've gotten 1 or 2 in crypto space, and they're truly valuable. I've one that we're on the fence about, and I think it's worth a lot of money. But what do you think, start to finish? Is it with the current administration? Is it going to be faster?
It's a
in the crypto space.
So I think well, 2 sides to that. I think you will have, they won't get rejected right out of the gate and just shut down as unpatentable because it's just an abstract idea. The guidance has changed. Squires is very much, he said the backlog that the patent office has is a travesty. We need to move things along. We've got to get patents in people's hands. But it is a large administrative agency, and it's going through its own growing pains. It is one of the few government agencies that is entirely self-funded. It makes enough in fees to pay for everything that it does. I certainly think that there is sort of at the top, there definitely is a push to make it faster, but there is a huge backlog of stuff to get through. So I wouldn't say if you file today, it's suddenly going to take 6 months where it had taken 2 years before. But there definitely is pressure at the patent office to expedite things, especially in this space.
Specifically towards AI?
AI, machine learning, but I think software patents more generally, because there is. I don't want to get too wonky or too deep, but. Yeah, no, I think it's financial instruments, like anything where the blockchain, I think, tends to get fintech. That is all lumped in. When you hear Squires talk about the industries that really need that need patents and he wants to push through, in general, the guidance for many, many years, for at least a decade. It's all keyed off of a seminal Supreme Court case called Alice. And it goes to 35 USC 101, which basically sets out the basic condition, for patentability. And that section of the law has been used by the courts to say, look, you can't patent an abstract idea. You can't patent something that's just found in nature. And the Alice case in particular set out a framework that then the patent office the courts and the patent office have been using. It essentially says, if you say, take this practice, take this business practice and do it on a computer, or hey, use a computer to make something faster or make something better, that's just not going to fly. And I think for a good reason, right? Just taking something that everyone's been doing forever and say, oh, well, do that on the internet or do that with a computer. That's not really innovative or novel. The focus, the guidance has been, and it still to some degree is, what is it about your idea that makes technology better? It's not just, hey, if I use a computer, I can do something faster than a human does. The question is, do I have an idea that actually improves the functioning of a machine? Do I have an idea that makes AI agents faster or better, like in a technical sense? And if you can frame your idea, your invention along those lines, if you can make payment processing faster, if you can do something to, even if it's algorithmic, if it has a specific application and you're not just talking about the result, but rather you're focusing on the process by which things get better. In all these industries, I think there to some degree is a new sheriff in town, and he is very happy to push those kind of those ideas and those things through.
But the enforceability of already hold. Where are you guys? Where's the administration involved in that?
Yeah, so that's where it gets that's where it gets a little stickier, because just because the patent office has changed the guidance that it is giving to its examiners on what patents should be allowed, that does not change the case law and the framework that the courts will ultimately use to decide whether a patent should have ever been granted, given the rules, as set out by the Supreme Court case law and the statutes. So that is going to be very interesting. In the patent litigation I do, we always trail the market by like 5 or 10 years, right? Because you have to go out, you have to get the patent, you have to prosecute the patent, you have to get the patent issued, you have to survey the landscape. Are you still in business as a company? Is someone, has the patent changed hands? It gets aggregated. Well, now let's investigate who might be infringing the patent. Let's get financing to go out and actually litigate and enforce it. So, I was an engineer from 99 to 2004-ish, let's say. Like, I'm still in my sweet spot. A lot of the patents that are getting asserted still today it's the kind of basic early cloud networking stuff that I was working on 20 years ago. And that's all still being hashed out in the courts. So I think there is this tsunami of patent applications that we're seeing getting filed. And where the world is going to be in terms of what the courts and what Congress has said is patentable, those goalposts could move. As it stands today, the Supreme Court's Alice decision is still the law of the land, and it's going to be an uphill battle. I think it often is an uphill battle for folks trying to assert software patents right out of the gate. You're going to get a motion to dismiss from the other side saying this patent is just directed to an abstract idea. It's not technologically innovative. It never should have been granted. But Congress is having trouble passing anything. But for years now, there has been talk, a bipartisan committee that has been talking about essentially changing the law of the land when it comes to these types of patents. Essentially revoking the decision, the Supreme Court's guidance or the Supreme Court's decision in Alice, and saying that that's not the standard anymore, and that these types of patents in this space, in fintech, in software generally, AI, machine learning, that it is deserving of patent protection. Those patents should be upheld and valid, and they shouldn't just be tossed out.
As a seller of patent, I'm still stuck in the land of quicksand, whereby I've given you know, now I got to pay $1 million to enforce my patent. I don't know where. That's still the reality right now.
As it stands today, if you were to file a lawsuit today.
I'm not trying to.
No. I'm on both sides of the V, so I'm not, yeah.
Okay, so you'll help me enforce.
Yeah, I'll help you enforce your patents, and if someone sues you, I will explain why they never should have gotten that patent in the first place.
Great, you got
Yeah.
two servers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I
And,
can
yeah.
forever.
I think this is awesome. You know, in terms of, you know, why Decasonic chose this, it seems like a super interesting thing. You know, I think it's very marketable, puts you on the map. Even if there's not like a monetization plan, it makes a lot of sense. So congratulations on that. Just, I guess in terms of the future, you know, you referenced the Alice case, made it just fundamentally harder to enforce software patents. It seems like the trend is, you know, continuing just in a world where, you know, if we're 3 to 5 years away from AGI or, you know, ASIs in the distant future, and given that's probably existential to our country and other countries, China, Russia, they're going to ignore patents. Like, would the United States really set up roadblocks in a world where in 3 to 5, 7 years we're fighting for AGI and survival? Like, how does the patent system work in that scenario?
Yeah, it's complicated, extremely complicated. Certainly, I mean, the U.S. is not the only place you can file for patents, and you know, there's Europe, the patent courts there and their system they've really made a lot of progress, and it's in many ways it's much more streamlined. It's been much more developed. Unified patent courts. There's been a lot of changes. But I mean, to your point, yes, if you have sort of like rogue nation state actors that have everything within sort of the four corners of their country, it is hard if patents are bounded by the country you're in. So if it's not touching our shores, it does make it quite difficult. And that's why I'd say the patent is not a silver bullet. You know, I think all companies should be developing, especially companies in the AI space, I think almost like an intellectual property mindset. And it's making those from just sort of baking it into your DNA from day one, which is, what is it that we've got that's worth protecting? You know, and that can be as simple as like, put it in, you know, if you have your engineers are writing specification documents, have a section in there, like, what's new? Like, what's different? What are we doing? Like, have invention disclosure forms, make it easy for them to fill out, and do that first step of just like capturing the IP so that you can then go on to the second stage of evaluating it. Well, okay, here are our good ideas. What do we want to do with it? Do we think it's worth it to go and spend the money and get a patent? That can't be everything. Or should we protect this with a trade secret? Which is very amorphous, but I think in AI, especially when all you need is one engineer who knows everything you're doing to hop from one company to another and basically take everything and the secret sauce with him or her, it's really thinking through, well, what is it we've got, and not being reactive, because once, you know, the horse is bolted, you're padlocking the barn, and, well, what were our trade secrets? Who did we share those with? Did we make anybody sign an NDA? I think there is a lot you can do, and it's low cost, but upfront, to protect all this stuff. And now, these days, there's all kinds of really interesting things, including on the blockchain with trade secrets. You've got companies that are saying, write down your trade secrets, create an internal registry. You can store that and verify the fact that you had these ideas. That all goes on the blockchain. You've got insurance companies coming in willing to insure your trade secrets if they're properly documented. So it's not like we're in a world where you're a company and maybe patents are a little bit tough, or can we enforce this? And if we patent something, it's out there for the world to see, right? So I patent it. Well, can somebody just do something slightly different, and then I've sort of disclosed the core of my idea, and they've essentially just tweaked one little thing, and now I can't sue them. So I think it is a calculus that every company needs to think through, and to be mindful and deliberate sort of at the outset, and not reactive when you're only in a posture of, oh wait, so-and-so left, or oh wait, I think my competitor is doing this or has taken something. That's the worst time to be trying to figure out, well, what secrets did I have to protect? Sorry, Abdul, I feel like I don't mean to, to monopolize the conversation. Anybody else? All right. No, thank you guys so much for coming. And Abdul, great chatting with you. Please grab some food and some drinks. And, you know, I'm here all night. That's.
It was pretty good.
Thank you.